The following podcast will not feature any trigger warnings and will pay absolutely no attention to considerations of political correctness. No topic shall be outside the realm of discussion, no subject above the plane of reasoning, and no fact beyond questioning. It is our responsibility as individuals, and as humans, but moreover, as the most powerful beings on our planet, to exercise our reason and intellectual honesty to the best of our ability in order to build a better world for ourselves and for all other beings capable of experiencing it. Welcome to the Thinking Human podcast. I'm George Stewart. For the last 24 days, at the time of this recording, I've been practicing something that I call accurate self-representation. This is the practice of accurately representing one's opinions and thoughts without exception and with the highest amount of detail that is reasonable for one's current situation. As a result, I cannot lie. It wasn't that I was a massive liar prior to making this commitment to representing myself accurately to others, but I simply felt that I was not being as honest as I could be, and as a result, because I had the out of lying, I was sometimes being weak, where if I didn't have the capacity to misrepresent the truth, I would have been strong. It is a greatly liberating experience to know that one is going to be honest today. For those of you who are always completely honest already, this will come as no news. But I think that for the vast majority of people, while lying per se may not be an option, misrepresenting the truth of one's views in order to make a particular situation easier is an option that's utilised frequently. For instance, if a co-worker is telling you that your boss has been treating them unfairly for not producing the quality of work that is expected of them, you may be tempted to agree with the co-worker simply because you don't feel like you have the energy to explain in a detailed enough way how you think your co-worker may have the situation wrong and how they may be bringing the negative attention of the boss on themselves through not working to the best of their ability. However, what I would advise here is that instead one could say something honest like the following. Look, I don't feel like I have the energy right now to give you productive and honest feedback about what you're saying to me. I'd really like to help with your perspective on this if you'd like me to. So how about we go for a coffee later on, after work, and we talk about it then? By doing this, you've not only told the truth, and thus can fully stand behind your words, you've also opened up new possibilities with yourself and your co-worker. You could have lied in the moment, and have not had to invite them for coffee. Your relationship may have remained at best outwardly unchanged, but it would most likely have been reduced, as at least you would know that you had just lied to this person, who actually trusted you with confidential information about their feelings towards your boss. From that simple expression of accurate self-representation, you could have just expanded the richness of your life. You could potentially have made a new friend. After they saw how honest you were prepared to be with them over the coffee later that afternoon, they may have a great newfound trust for you, which could be a great advantage for you in the future, when perhaps you may not see the error of your ways and need a moment of honesty like you showed them in the past. Of course, this person may react badly to your honesty. They may not be prepared to accept any responsibility for their boss's opinion of them, and may resent you telling them something that forces them to confront their imperfections. But if this is the case, it will also benefit you to know this. Just how much trust or respect should you have for a person that is so unwilling to admit any fault or even engage with the possibility? You should, of course, not immediately assume that the fault lies with them. Perhaps you explained your thoughts badly. Perhaps you explained them in a way that sounded genuinely hurtful or overly abrasive. Honesty, in this context, does not mean saying the first thing that comes into your head. This is not, in my opinion, necessarily honest. If I expressed verbally everything that popped into my head, that wouldn't be an honest representation of myself as an individual. It would give a very good impression of what it was like to be a brain, but not an individual. It is what we do not say, what we don't act on, and the thoughts that we don't follow that define us as people. If someone asked you if their dress made them look fat, it might not be an honest answer to simply say yes. It might be, They might actually be fat, but they might not be. It might be more honest to be more nuanced. Answering with yes or no might just be to exclude important details that, if included, might change the concept that you're trying to communicate. This may be mistaken for dodging the question, but if it's really what you think, you should express it. So long as you represent yourself to the best of your ability, then you're being honest. If you are being honest, then you'll feel strong. Telling the truth reinforces one's personal character, because in a literal way, by telling the truth, you are manifesting part of your consciousness into the real world. Thus, whenever you represent yourself accurately to another person, you are constructing part of your consciousness and giving it to them to explore. That is what I'm doing with this podcast. I am accurately modelling my consciousness and sending it out into the world. I am extending myself into space and also time. In a very literal way, this is what communication should be doing for all of us. If we are honest with ourselves and those we come into contact with, then we should all be modelling parts of each other's consciousness and handing them off to one another in an attempt to integrate parts of ourselves with others. In a very real sense, the activity of being honest with those we meet brings us closer to each other. Listening to me talk here brings me closer to you. In a way, I am actually talking to you. It is true that I am also talking to anyone else who is listening, but that doesn't mean that I'm not talking to you. It's as if I was sat in a room with a blindfold on, talking to whomever was there. I tell whomever is there that I don't know exactly who you are or what you look like, but because you're here, I'm talking to you. The same applies to you here. Whoever is listening now, and because this is recorded, I say now, and it can therefore mean now. So whoever is listening, now, I am talking to you. And because I am being honest to you, because I am representing myself accurately to you, part of me, that is, part of my metaphysical structure, is now recorded in you, like a metaphysical footprint in the concrete of your memory. And all you have to do in order to perform the same act of metaphysical magic is to be honest. If by the word us we mean the metaphysical patterns that count as us, then by being honest, we literally leave our mark on the world. By being dishonest, we disguise the fact that we are even here. By representing ourselves accurately in the present, we can know that to even the smallest degree, the future will include the echoes of who we are now. If we think of our current reality as an unimaginably complex metaphysical shape, we can know that by acting honestly in the present moment, we contribute our own metaphysical shapes to the overall shape of future reality. We as tiny present beings, we as four-dimensional shapes extending through time, should feel honoured that by being honest, we send our patterns forever into the future, or as long as the future exists. And in our momentary states of existence in the present, we fertilise eternity with our being. If you enjoy the Thinking Human podcast and want to support it, there are currently several ways that you can do this for free. You can like and share this podcast wherever you find it. You can subscribe to the Thinking Human YouTube channel, and you can visit my personal website at georgestewart.wordpress.com.